Alright, well this is just a continuation of this unit. I did put a pretty good load on it and I got it dragged down to 3.9. It's been running for about an hour and a half and it's just staying right here. The only thing it does every once in a while it will shut off and turn back on. It doesn't really have an error code, but it like the screen just goes blank, it shuts off for about 2 seconds and turns back on and goes back to working. So I imagine what's going on is Stafix and Speedrite and those guys that make these, I would say from 18,000 or X18 or whatever and smaller, down to the 1000 and the X1, whatever the hell they call the small one. They use a little bitty surface mount parts on the board, and those things get hot and overheat and everything. So imagine the longer this thing runs with this load on it, and this is what I've got hooked up as a load. This is a 150 ohm, 20 watt resistor, and this thing is blazing hot. You put your finger on there, it's hot really quick. So that's why it's rating so low, because I've got a pretty heavy load on it, stressing it out. See, there it went. See, it shuts off for about a second and turns back on. So I imagine that's what's going on. So, well, let's tear into this thing and see what we got going on. Yeah, pretty darn hot. All right, to get one of these things apart, let's see, you're going to need, unplug that. This has got 4 screws. They're all Phillips. There are 2 right here and 2 right there. So you need a Phillips screwdriver or a drill or something with the right bit on there, which is what I'm trying to find. I was over on the other workbench. So we'll put that in there and we'll pull these 4 screws out. Alright, so then you're going to pop this back case off. Something you got to be pretty persuasive with it. If it won't come off just by pulling, you can kind of, there's a little crease right here. It's going to get a screwdriver and just kind of work it open. And go on there, get in there and just kind of work it like that. Don't score it up too much because you have to save this back case and reuse it. And there's nothing inside here. Just watch for your screws to fall out if you tip it over. Yeah, there it is. See all that dark stuff up in here? This is supposed to be all nice and green and everything, and it's not. So, yeah, that's part of these problem with these Speedrite and Stafix units. These little bitty parts on these boards get really hot and discolor and overheat and go bad. And this particular unit, if you're kind of curious on how old your unit is, or how long you've had it, that kind of thing, look at the back of the case, and it should have a serial number on there. That 1-4, I believe, is the year it was built. So this is built in 2014. So it's based on this video, it's about 5.5 years old. And I would say on average for a Speedrite unit or a Stafix unit that's probably that are 18 joule, 16 or 12 or whatever the joules are, 6 joule and 3 joule, all those type of units that kind of look like this, you usually on average, excluding lightning damage, but just regular usage, you usually would get between 4 to 8 years out of one. That seems to be about the lifespan of one of these. And sometimes you can be lucky, get that 10 years, but I would say most times you're going to get probably 5 to 6 years out of one. Next thing you want to do is you want to pull that little switch piece off there and save it, because you're going to reuse it. And now, next thing you want to do is there's this capacitor sitting right here. There's no polarity to the capacitor, and you have the transformer sitting right here with a couple wires. There's no polarity to that. But what you want to do is you want to discharge the capacitor. And the way you can take a screwdriver and just buzz across it real quick, and it may or may not snap at you. But I take this is a 10 watt, about a 100 ohm resistor or something like that. And I'm just going to go across it and hold it there for a couple seconds. If you use like a screwdriver or a pair of pliers, something like that across there, it may or may not snap at you, but if it does it really quick. On using big resistor, that just absorbs that loud snap sound, safely discharges the capacitor, but you want to hold it there for about 3 or 4 seconds just to make sure it's all out. Then you just pull the wires off. There's on there these little slip-on female spade connectors. And the same thing to the transformer. And the transformer's got more wires coming out of it. It's got a black, a yellow, and a purple. And they all slide on the back side of these fence posts and stuff. Just want to wiggle and pull them off. So there's only 3 wires out of the transformer, just 4 terminals. The other terminal on here is this one, which is your black knob, which I believe is your ground reference or earth reference voltage. And it ties back into this little bitty board over here that's part of your remote control and stuff. Alright, well, there's a transformer. Transformer don't go bad that often. The transformer looks good, so it probably is good. You can test your capacitor. They're not very common to go bad, but this capacitor is a 30 microfarad capacitor. It says it right on the side there. 30 UF, 30 microfarads. So you want to use your multimeter. If you got them, it doesn't have to be this one, but if you've got a multimeter that can test capacitors, the symbol for a capacitor is right there. It's that little thing to focus. There it is. It's that little yellow symbol right there. That's the symbol for a capacitor. And when you look at your screen, it's going to say like, come on, focus. And it's hard to see, but it says NF, which is nanofarads, but should be, have some kind of F there. So we're just going to go across it. I'm just going to touch it like that. 29.6. So that's pretty darn close to 30. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to replace this module. So the module in the Speedrites and Stafix units, take this, that's your little lightning rod. You'll reuse that. It slips down these little notches down here below the bolts. And module's going to come just like this, built into a new case. So you got to take your bolts out. You're going to want to take all your knobs off. And because the bolts, when you pull them out, have to go from the outside in. When you put them back in, it goes from the inside out. So you can't get the bolts out unless you take your knobs off. So they look pretty good shape. So we're just might just be able to wiggle and pull, but typically you got to grab them with a pair of pliers. Wiggle and pull them out of there. Oh, and this being a 6000 has this little LCD board over here, so you got to reuse that and be very careful because these things are pretty sensitive to static. So if you got a static strap, do that, or touch some metal to discharge any static you might have. But I don't wear a static strap on anything that I work on because 98% of what I work on is not that sensitive. It does have some chips and things on there, but they're not like a computer board. They're not that sensitive, but you do want to be careful. You don't want to ding anything up. But there's 4 Phillips screws with 3 across here and then 1 in the corner. And then you're going to unplug it from the board. This little ribbon cable right here just going to lift up. Peel out of the way. Now should come right out of there. There's that. And then there's your LCD right here. And it's going to basically reassemble like that. So when we get the new module ready, we're going to lay the LCD down first and then that in right on top of it. But just kind of put in a safe spot where it's not going to get scratched up or hit by anything. Well, this is sort of good, but it's not acting quite right. So we're going to discard this because this module is built into the circuit board with this jelly crap in its way. So the only way they sell them is a whole front case, all the guts already built into it. So we're going to put this off to the side, and we're going to get another module for it. All right, so let me get the new module for it thing. And we are going to basically turn it into a Speedrite 6000i. Same guts, just a different colored case. See, that's what it's supposed to look like, all nice and shiny. Speedrite 6000i. We got this X6 again. See, they are a spitting image of one another. Same exact thing. Flip this over. Here's a nice new one supposed to look like, and a gently used one looks very nice as well. Maybe not as crisp, but pretty darn close. And here's all the darkness on this other one. If you look at this one, see all these little bitty, dinky little parts they have on there? All these little bitty things. That's where it gets real hot at. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, there's a triac there, it calls it. There's these are probably some SCRs or thyristors, what they call them. There's a big chip right there. And all that crap is all dark. I mean, look at it. It's all gotten hot and overheated. These things, the little bitty parts just don't hold up. A lot of people use that stuff, but some do it better than others. And Speedrite's kind of middle of the road. You know, their stuff's not bad, but they're kind of overpriced. You don't get a long life out of one as you would, say, a Gallagher or some of the other brands. But this is how they do things. This is cheaper for them to manufacture these little bitty parts made by a robot than it is for somebody to solder in a bunch of big parts by hand. All right, here's that LCD. So we're going to lay that down first. Right in this little groove there. Kind of has a little thing that holds it in place. And we'll take this and gently put it in there. Then we're going to tighten down the screws. So I'm going to do all that. I don't need to show you all that, but I'm going to tighten these screws down real quick. All right. The last one's screwed down. Now we're going to take this little ribbon cable and plug it on. All right, now the fun part. The hardest part about this is installing these dumb things again, because they got to go in there a certain way for the wires. And you got these little tabs. There's two on each side. You got this little O-ring right here. It's between the front. That's kind of hoping to help it out with water damage and that kind of stuff. So it goes from the inside out. And sometimes when you get it kind of starting, you can kind of see it's a little bit recessed there, not quite in all the way. Grab a flat screwdriver, put a little pressure on the back side of it with your finger, and hold it and just kind of wiggle and pull with your screwdriver. And then I get it nice and flush. Once you get them in pretty darn good, you put this back case on there, and it has these four things right here. They're basically on the back side of this. This is what helps push those things into place and holds them. So once you get them in most of the way, you're good to go. So now we're going to put this one in. Make sure your O-ring deal doesn't get caught up and in the way. If it does, you can wiggle and pull it back out. See, that one got pushed out of the way. Just got to roll it back into place. There's probably a better trick to this, but this is what I do, and it does okay. Put a little pressure on the back side, wiggle, and pull the dumb thing into place. All right. And I believe that these other two face the other way. So you got these little stems sticking at the side. That's where the transformer and this black wire plugs onto. pull it off camera a little bit so I can do it the way I need to do it. So this is probably the hardest part of this, is getting these freaking bolts into place. They're just a Mickey Mouse way of doing things. Last one. So all of them are in place so far. This one's almost in. Okay, alright. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put my knobs on there. Let's see, the first one's my ground. Next one's earth return, so that's the black knob. Half power, low power, what they call it, is the yellow. And full power is the red. So what's good about putting these back on now is that it will help keep those bolts from pulling back through. Alright, so now we're going to put the transformer back in. It goes just like this. And this black wire that kind of goes up from this board right here, that's for your earth return. So that goes right here in the earth terminal. Let's see. And then you got, there's a dual wire here. It's red, so that's, and it goes over here. There's also a couple tabs right here. It goes right here. A little female sleeve, and then this one plugs on right there. Yellow wire for your half power goes right here. This purple wire for your ground is right there and plugs in over here. Like I said, this one is for the remote control. I'll pull this off real quick. Damn it. Slide that up underneath there. This one's a remote control capable one. So it has this little board here for the remote control stuff, and also feeds the information over to here and up to over to here to display what it feels on the board, because these two terminals are your fence and ground. And yeah, full power and ground for your fence, and that relays all that information of stress and whatever and remote control communication stuff over to here, which is what this section of the board does. So that's why these wires plug up over here. Alright, so now we're going to plug this transformer in. It has two wires, left and right. There's 4 tabs. The first 2 tabs right here are for your transformer. So the left tab of the transformer goes on the left tab. The last one, the right tab over here, is for the right wire. And you got your capacitor. Like I said, there's no polarity to the capacitor, so you'll just put one wire there, one wire there. We're basically done. So now what we're going to do is make sure all the wires are in place, and it looks pretty darn good. The thing you want to do now is you want to put your switch piece on next. So we're just going to lift this up, snap that in there. Now you can put your back case back on. Get a nice little squeeze, make sure it's on there all the way. And then you can take a screwdriver or whatever, electric screw gun, and tighten all the screws down, and we'll plug it in. And so this is a 12-volt cord I've got from the customer, so I'll plug that on there. Now it's Christmassy looking. I've got the red and green going on. Alright, we're going to power it up there, 13.2 volts. Go to the battery check. Alright, something not quite right. Acting right. but that display is having a conniption. Why is it acting funny? I have no... Oh, that could be why. It's not in all the way. Yeah, putting the screws in the new plastic. I guess I didn't... I thought it was tight enough, but I guess I didn't have it quite down enough. Because it's new plastic and it was just a little tougher to put the screws in. God, I hope that's all it was. Maybe I messed up that stupid LCD board. Fooling with it. Alright, put this cord back on it. Now it's reading better. .2 volts, which is exactly what my power supply says. Put all the full power. Working like a dream now. It's looking a lot better than what it did before. I mean, I had a load on there, but I mean, it's a lot brighter lights and everything. I mean, it's just that's the only bad thing about the Speedrite. They make a pretty good product and the Stafix stuff. Pretty good. Kind of overpriced for what it is, but it's pretty good stuff. Puts out a hell of a shock. I just use those stupid little bitty component parts. And that's what everybody does now. Not everybody. There's some brands that have a mix of old and new when it comes to components and electronics. But Speedrite is really into that digital component surface mount stuff. It's just, and they don't allow you to touch nothing on the boards. They want it all sealed off. I guess because these things can be used on the outside on a battery or a solar panel setup. So I guess they want those boards to be protected. But there could have been a better way to do it, I guess. But that's what they do. But those little bitty parts, man, they just don't hold up. Thing's 5 years old, 5.5 years old, and it already has a bad board in the thing from usage and stress. They just, like I said, you get about 4 to 8 years. I don't think I've ever seen a 10-year-old one that was brand new inside, or that was a brand new, not brand new, but never been worked on unit. But well, that's how you fix one of these things. So if you've got a electric fence charger of any brand, you got a Speedrite 6000i or X6i, Stafix, or any other brand or model, let us know and we'll be happy to work on it. You can send it to us. Our website is fencerfixer.com. Fencer and Fixer is both spelled with an F as in Frank. And I'll put a link in the description area down below. But you can click on that link, take you right to our website. It talks about what we do. But we work on all brands of all ages of electric fence chargers. And we give free quotes and 1.5 year warranties and everything. So, do one more little thing here, just because people get a kick out of it. We're going to do a little spark jump across the thing. Power up, there it goes. So, pretty good unit. Not bad, I guess, but there's just as good or better ones out there for less money and longer warranty. So, but if you got one of these things, I wouldn't deter you from buying another one. I mean, it's a good charger. I mean, you're paying for a name, more or less, than anything. But like you could see on the inside, they're all right. They're just they don't hold up for real long, like 5-8 years maybe at most. What you get out of these things. I don't get too many warranty ones in unless they are struck by lightning or something like that. But well, anyways, until we do another video of how to work on one or one that we have worked on, we will see you guys later.